The air in the Paris courtroom was thick. It was heavy with anticipation. Kim Kardashian, a name synonymous with global fame, stood to testify. This was not about a new brand or a television show. This was about a night of profound terror. Her voice, usually confident, trembled slightly as she began. She recounted the events of October 2016, a night that changed her life forever. The world watched, listened as she detailed the horror. The judges, the lawyers, the accused, all eyes were on her. The silence in the room was absolute, broken only by her words. She wore a severe black peplum skirt suit. It was a deliberate choice, perhaps a statement of solemnity, of gravity, yet she was still Kim Kardashian. Around her neck, a breathtaking necklace glittered. It was a $3 million, 52.17 carat diamond piece by Samer Halime. Its 80 diamonds with a 10.13 carat pear-shaped center caught the light. The designer said it symbolized her power. It seemed to speak of resilience, of an unwillingness to be diminished. Even in this moment of vulnerability, her strength was on display. Her composure was remarkable, though the pain was evident in her eyes. The testimony was a journey back to that dreadful Parisian night. Nearly 9 years had passed since the robbery. But for Kardashian, the trauma felt fresh, immediate. As she spoke, tears welled, threatening to spill. She paused, collecting herself, the weight of the memory palpable. The court observed a woman reliving her deepest fears. It was a raw, unfiltered glimpse into the aftermath of violence. She was there not just as a celebrity, but as a victim seeking justice. Every word carried the burden of that experience. The courtroom itself, the historic Palais de Justice, seemed to hold its breath. This trial was not just about stolen jewels, it was about the violation of safety, the psychological wounds inflicted. Kardashian's presence underscored the human cost of such crimes. Her testimony was a pivotal moment. It set the stage for a legal drama that had captured global attention. The search for closure had led her to this stand. The night began like many others during Paris Fashion Week. She was in her luxurious hotel residence, the Hôtel de Portales. She thought her sister Courtney was returning from a nightclub. Instead, shadows morphed into figures. Two men, dressed as police officers, burst into her room. The initial confusion quickly turned to stark, cold fear. This was no prank, no mistake. This was real. The men were aggressive, their intent clear. They were not there for an autograph. They wanted something far more valuable, and they were prepared to take it by force. The robbers shouted, "Ring, ring!" Their voices were harsh, urgent. They pointed to their fingers, then to hers. She knew instantly what they meant. The magnificent 20-carat Lorraine Schwartz diamond ring, a gift from her then-husband, Kanye West. It was worth an estimated $4 million. It was a symbol of love, now a target. The demand was clear, the threat implicit. Panic began to set in, a cold wave washing over her. Her mind raced, trying to comprehend the sudden, violent intrusion into her private sanctuary. She was alone, vulnerable. The men were armed. One of them wore a ski mask, obscuring his face. The other had police insignia. The deception made the attack even more disorienting. She had no security guard with her at that precise moment, a decision she would later regret deeply. They dragged her from her bed. Her robe fell open, leaving her naked body exposed. The humiliation compounded the terror. She felt completely powerless, at the mercy of these strangers. Her sanctuary had become a scene of violation. She tried to make sense of it. The initial moments were a blur of shouted commands and menacing gestures. The robbers were determined. Their actions swift and brutal. They were professionals, it seemed, executing a plan. The luxury suite, once a place of comfort, now felt like a trap. The glamour of Fashion Week had dissolved into a terrifying reality. Her world had been turned upside down. In a matter of minutes, the echoes of their demands ringing in her ears. The ordeal intensified with terrifying speed. The intruders were not gentle. They were there to control, to take. Her wrists were roughly secured with zip ties, the plastic cut into her skin. Then her ankles were bound with duct tape. She was immobilized, a prisoner in her own room. Tape was slapped across her mouth, silencing any screams, any pleas. The acrid taste of the adhesive filled her senses. She could barely breathe, the panic constricting her chest. The feeling of helplessness was overwhelming, absolute. She was then dragged unceremoniously into the bathroom. The cold tiles met her skin as she was dumped on the floor. It was a stark, demeaning act. One of the men pointed a gun directly at her head. The cold metal was a chilling promise of violence. She closed her eyes, bracing for the worst. The thought of her children flashed through her mind. Would she ever see them again? The fear was a living thing, coiling in her stomach, stealing her breath. This was not a movie. This was her life, hanging by a thread. The gun remained a constant, terrifying presence. At one point, it was pressed against her back. Every movement, every breath felt like a gamble. She was convinced they were going to rape her. She was convinced she was going to die. The robbers ransacked the room, searching for more valuables. They communicated in French, a language she didn't fully understand, adding to her disorientation and fear. She could only lie there, bound and terrified, listening to them tear her temporary home apart. The physical violation of being bound was profound. It stripped away her autonomy, her dignity. The zip ties were painfully tight, a constant reminder of her captivity. The tape over her mouth was suffocating. She tried to stay calm, to think, but the fear was a powerful force. She knew she had to survive, for her children, for her family. But in those moments, survival felt like an impossible task. The robbers seemed to hold all the power, her life entirely in their hands. As she lay there, bound and gagged, her mind became a torrent of desperate thoughts. Her primary concern was for her children, North and Saint, who were babies at the time. She pleaded silently, then audibly, when the tape was briefly removed. She begged the concierge, who was also being held, to tell the robbers she was a mother. "I have babies, please. I have to go home to my babies," she implored. She hoped that appealing to their humanity, if any existed, might spare her life. It was a mother's instinct, a primal cry for her young. She thought about her sister Courtney. Courtney was out, enjoying the Paris nightlife, unaware of the horror unfolding. Kim imagined Courtney returning to the hotel, finding her dead. The image was unbearable. She prayed fervently. She prayed for her life, for her children's future. She prayed that Courtney wouldn't have to endure such a traumatic discovery. The fear of leaving her children motherless was a torment sharper than any physical pain. It fueled a desperate will to live, even as hope dwindled. Escape seemed impossible. She considered trying to run, but the gun was always there, a constant, deadly threat. If she ran, they would shoot her in the back. She was certain of it. The risk was too great. She had to endure, to wait for an opportunity, however slim. The minutes stretched into an eternity. Each sound, each movement from the robbers sent fresh waves of terror through her. She focused on her breathing, trying to control the rising panic, trying to stay alive for her family. The robbers continued their search, their voices low and menacing. She heard them discussing the jewels, their excitement palpable. To them, she was merely an obstacle, a means to an end. But to herself, she was a mother, a daughter, a sister. Her life had value beyond the glittering gems they coveted. This conviction, this deep-seated love for her family, became her anchor in the storm of fear. She clung to the images of her children's faces, drawing strength from their innocent smiles. The physical ordeal ended when the robbers fled, leaving her shaken but alive. Somehow Kim managed to loosen her bonds and scream for help. Her stylist, Simone Harouche, who was sleeping on a floor below, heard her cries. But the end of the robbery was not the end of the suffering. The trauma of that night carved deep, invisible scars. In her testimony, nearly 9 years later, she spoke of the lasting emotional and psychological impact. The fear did not simply vanish with the perpetrators. It lingered, becoming a persistent shadow in her life. Anxiety became a constant companion. She described how she couldn't sleep for weeks, even months, without replaying the events in her mind. Every creak in the night, every unexpected noise could trigger a wave of panic. The feeling of safety, once taken for granted, was shattered. She now travels with a formidable team of security guards. Her life, once lived so publicly, became more guarded, more private in certain aspects. The experience forced a reevaluation of her security, her surroundings, and her trust in others. It was honestly a harsh lesson in vulnerability. The stolen jewelry, worth an estimated $10 million, was a significant loss, but it paled in comparison to the loss of her peace of mind. She recounted in court how the incident had forever changed my life. The glamour associated with her high-profile existence now carried a darker undertone. Flashing cameras, once a familiar part of her day, could momentarily evoke the terror of that night. The psychological toll was immense, affecting her daily routines, her interactions, and her overall sense of well-being. Even the act of testifying was a testament to the enduring trauma. Reliving the attack, detailing every horrifying moment for the court, was an emotionally draining experience. The tears she shed on the stand were not just for the past event, but for the ongoing struggle to heal. The world saw a composed woman, but beneath the surface, the wounds were still tender. The robbery was not just a chapter in her past. It was a defining moment that continued to shape her present. Her courage in facing her attackers in court was a step towards reclaiming her narrative. Now is the perfect moment to let you in on the Omar Martin Trending Topics Report membership. As a member, you'll unlock a world of exclusive perks crafted just for you. I've introduced exciting membership tiers designed to enhance your experience and bring you closer to the latest trends. Join as a casual trendsetter for just $2.99 a month and enjoy loyalty badges, custom emojis, and priority replies to your comments. Want more? Become an engaged trendsetter at $6.99 a month and get early access to new videos, special member shoutouts, and exclusive content you won't find anywhere else. For the ultimate insider access, become a super trendsetter at $24.99 a month. Enjoy social media connections, discounted merchandise, and all previous perks inside our futuristic news studio. Plus, don't miss the Trending Topics Report Shop, your destination for official merch like t-shirts, hoodies, bags, accessories, mugs, and more. Use promo code TTR15 at checkout to get 15% off your entire order. Join the trend, rock the gear, and elevate your experience today. Now back to the video. For her appearance at the Palais de Justice in May 2025, Kim Kardashian chose her attire with careful consideration. She wore a severe black peplumed skirt suit, a stark contrast to her usual flamboyant style. The outfit spoke of seriousness, of the gravity of the occasion. It was, in a sense, a uniform for a difficult duty. Yet this was Kim Kardashian, a woman who understands the power of image. And her choice of jewelry was anything but understated. It was a bold, perhaps even defiant statement to the court, to her attackers, and to the world. The centerpiece was the Samar Halimi necklace, $3 million of diamonds, a cascade of light against the somber black. It's 52.17 carats, with a prominent 10.13 carat pear-shaped gem was impossible to ignore. The designer himself stated it symbolized her power. It seemed to function as a kind of armor, a declaration that she would not be diminished by her trauma. She was reclaiming her narrative not as a broken victim, but as a survivor who still embraced her identity, an identity often expressed through luxury and adornment. Her ears, too, carried significant pieces. On one, a white, gold, and diamond pave cuff by Bryony Raymond, on loan, added an edgy brilliance. On the other, a 4.5 5-carat pear-shaped Riposte diamonds over the ear design with matching earrings completed the asymmetrical, fashion-forward look. Even a diamond ring and a twinkling anklet, reportedly a Mother's Day gift from her daughter North, were present. This was not a woman trying to disappear. This was a woman asserting her presence, her resilience, her refusal to be silenced or stripped of her essence. Some might question the choice of such opulent jewelry while testifying about a robbery where jewels were the target. But it could be interpreted in many ways. Perhaps it was a message that they could take her things, but not her spirit. Perhaps it was a way of facing her fear head-on, adorned in the very symbols of what was stolen. Or maybe it was simply her being authentic to her public persona, refusing to adopt a veneer of false modesty. Whatever the intention, the combination of the severe suit and the dazzling diamonds created a powerful, unforgettable image of defiance. One of the most striking aspects of Kim Kardashian's journey since the robbery has been her capacity for forgiveness. During the trial, she addressed this directly. She expressed forgiveness towards one of the accused, Omar Kardashian. He had previously admitted his guilt and, in a letter, expressed regret for his actions. This admission, this flicker of remorse, seemed to have resonated with Kardashian. Her willingness to forgive, however, did not negate the profound trauma she endured. It was a separate, personal step. She emphasized that forgiveness did not mean forgetting. The terror and the pain were still very real. But holding on to anger, she implied, was a burden she was willing to try and release. This act of forgiveness is perhaps intertwined with her broader advocacy work. In the years following the robbery, Kardashian has become a prominent voice for criminal justice reform in the United States. She has studied law, campaigned for clemency for incarcerated individuals, and spoken out about the need for a more compassionate justice system. This personal evolution seems deeply connected to her own experience as a victim of crime. She has seen the inside of the justice system, albeit from a different perspective. Her work suggests a belief in the possibility of rehabilitation, in second chances, even for those who have caused immense harm. Forgiving Ayed Kadash could be seen as an extension of this belief. It's a complex stance, one that acknowledges the suffering of victims while also holding space for the potential for change in offenders. Her courtroom statement about forgiveness was powerful. It added another layer to her public persona, not just a celebrity, not just a businesswoman, but someone grappling with deep ethical and personal questions. It highlighted her growth since the incident. The trauma, while undeniably destructive, also appears to have catalyzed a deeper engagement with issues of justice and human fallibility. Her journey reflects a profound internal shift, moving from victimhood towards a proactive role in seeking a more equitable system for all. The Paris trial, which commenced in May 2025, involves 10 individuals accused of involvement in the meticulously planned robbery. There are 9 men and 1 woman, their ages ranging significantly from 35 to a surprising 78. This age range of some of the key suspects has led to the media dubbing them the Grandpa Gang. The moniker adds a peculiar, almost cinematic layer to the proceedings, though the gravity of their alleged crimes remains undeniable. They face charges including armed robbery, kidnapping, and criminal association. The trial at the Palais de Justice is expected to be lengthy and complex. Beyond Kardashian's powerful testimony, the court will hear from other witnesses, including the hotel concierge, who was also held at gunpoint. The defendants themselves will have the opportunity to speak, to offer their versions of events, or to remain silent. The prosecution will lay out its case, piecing together evidence gathered over nearly 9 years of investigation. This includes forensic evidence, phone records, and the recovered portions of the stolen jewelry, though much of it remains missing. Omar Kardashian, the man Kardashian has publicly forgiven, is considered one of the ringleaders. His prior admission of guilt and his letter of apology will undoubtedly be significant factors in the trial. However, the other defendants maintain varying stances, from denial to partial admissions. The court's task is to meticulously examine the evidence against each individual and determine their level of culpability. The presence of a female accused also adds another dimension to the group's alleged operations. The proceedings are being closely watched globally, not only due to the celebrity status of the victim, but also because of the audacity of the crime. The Grandpa Gang label, while catchy, belies the serious nature of the charges and the violent reality of the robbery. The outcome of this trial will be a significant moment for the French justice system and will send a message about the consequences of such high-stakes criminal enterprises. The wheels of justice, though sometimes slow, are now fully in motion. As Kim Kardashian's testimony concludes and the trial against the 10 accused continues, its significance extends far beyond the confines of the Paris courtroom. This case throws a stark light on the inherent vulnerabilities that can accompany celebrity. While fame brings privilege, it also brings exposure, making high-profile individuals potential targets for criminals. The robbery served as a brutal reminder that security is paramount, and that even in perceived safe havens, like luxury hotels, danger can strike. The outcome will undoubtedly influence security protocols for public figures worldwide. The trial also underscores the profound and lasting impact of crime on its victims, regardless of their wealth or status. Kardashian's emotional testimony powerfully conveyed the psychological aftermath of such a traumatic event. Her willingness to speak openly about her fear, anxiety, and the long road to healing helps to destigmatize these experiences for other survivors of violence. It highlights the critical importance of justice, not just as a punitive measure, but as a means for victims to reclaim their narrative and seek closure. The proceedings are a testament to the resilience required to face one's attackers. Furthermore, Kardashian's journey since the robbery, particularly her advocacy for criminal justice reform and her expressed forgiveness for one of the perpetrators, adds a complex and thought-provoking dimension. It challenges simplistic notions of victimhood and retribution. Her actions invite a broader conversation about the nature of justice, the possibility of rehabilitation, and the societal structures that contribute to crime. It shows a person transformed by trauma, channeling her experience into a pursuit of systemic change, a path few might have predicted. The ongoing trial and its eventual verdict will resonate deeply. For Kim Kardashian, it represents a crucial step in a long and arduous journey. For the accused, it will determine their future. For the public, it offers a compelling drama, but also a moment for reflection on celebrity culture, personal safety, and the enduring quest for justice. The shadow of that Parisian night in 2016 is long, but through the legal process and her own personal evolution, Kim Kardashian is stepping further into the light, forever changed, but undeniably strong. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, stay curious and shine brightly.